Hi guys, welcome to or welcome back to the no gluten zone. I know this is like a very different spot here. I'm on the floor on my exercise mat, but you'll see why in a minute. First off, let me ask for you to subscribe to my channel if I have ever blessed you in any way or you've enjoyed my content in any way. I do put a lot of effort into the content I do, researching and filming and making my thumbnail and all of that. And I would really appreciate if you would subscribe. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up and you can hit the bell icon to be notified of future uploads. So today I want to talk about something a little bit different. Most of the time my content is related to in something having to do with food issues, which could be allergies, sensitivities, intolerances, or just autoimmune issues that affect your diet. Today is not necessarily connected to that. This could be for other people as well. So what I'm going to talk about today is something called anterior pelvic tilt. And you may have no idea what that is. I didn't for a very long time, even though I was struggling with it for a very long time. So what it basically comes down to is the position of your pelvic bone, your pelvic structure. If your pelvic area is tilted, and is it an anterior tilt or a posterior tilt? Or is it just neutral? I'm not really sure how I got stuck in anterior pelvic tilt, to be honest with you. I think it was a combination of things, and it was like little by little by little until I was in it so severely and I was so stuck. And a lot of people will tell you it's not a problem, and it's not a problem until you're stuck in it and you can't get out of it. So basically, you should be able to move your pelvic area freely in all directions and in all ways. And when it's stuck and you can't get it back to the neutral position, that is a problem and you need to work on it. So first, allow me to try to show you this. So pubic bone is here, and it should be a straight line down, flat. Anterior pelvic tilt, you're going to be tilted back. Your pubic bone is slanting this way. I suppose there's a posterior pelvic tilt. I can't get into it. Maybe there's people out there in it, and maybe there's people stuck in it, and that's something they work on too. I don't know. I can only speak for the anterior pelvic tilt because that is what I have struggled with. So for me, I had a lot of back pain. I had a lot of back pain for a lot of years. I had been in car accidents. I have scoliosis, very slight scoliosis, but I do have scoliosis. A lot of different things. I just pawned it off on those things, and it was getting worse and worse. I am now in my 50s, and it was becoming hard to walk. I was just having constant pain. I went to my doctor. They sent me to the orthopedic doctor. They offered me injections, like steroid injections into my spine. I refused. I said at this time, I'm not saying I'd never do it, but at this time I didn't want to do it. I chose to do physical therapy, and I did physical therapy with very little results. And so, like everything else, I just keep doing research until I land on something and find it. And at some point, I started stumbling across things about anterior pelvic tilt, and I started putting it together because I had also noticed when I saw photos of myself, and especially videos of myself, that like my posture, my body, something had drastically changed. And I couldn't quite put my finger on it and figure out what it was, but I knew there was something there. And then when I first heard about anterior pelvic tilt, I was kind of like, whatever. And it kept coming up in my research. And so I started diving in. The thing that does upset me, to be honest, is I saw, more than one doctor. I saw more than one chiropractor. I saw more than one physical therapist. And like not one person looked at my structure, my movement, my whatever they should be looking at and saying like, hey, are you aware that your posture's off? Has it always been off? Is this something we should be addressing? Nobody did any of that. So I find that a little concerning. Orthopedic doctor. I go in there and I have back pain and I'm just sitting in a chair talking to him the whole time. He's not doing an assessment. He's not like walk across the room, let me see you how you move, like nothing. I find that a little concerning that I see more and more of that nowadays when you go to see a doctor, especially a specialist. And I would really expect more from a specialist than that. Maybe my expectations are just too high. Maybe it's just because I'm old and that's the way they used to do things, but they don't anymore. So again, I just want to point out that anterior pelvic tilt isn't necessarily a problem. It only becomes a problem when you can't get out of it. And so even once I became aware of what was happening with my posture and my pelvic area, pelvic posture, if you will, I could not get it back to neutral. I was stuck in this anterior tilt and couldn't get out of it. And it took quite a bit of work. And I can't even say I'm completely done with the work and then I'm completely back to a normal posture yet. It is much improved from where it was, but I still feel like I have a long ways to go. So I wanted to share this information in case someone else is dealing with this and they don't know how to fix this or get out of this if they're stuck. So it's sort of a combination of things. One thing I will say is that using a lumbar pillow, I believe that's what it's called, does help because when I'm sitting, I don't sit a lot, but when I'm sitting, it is the hardest time for me to keep my pelvic in proper alignment, like in a neutral, like non-tilt, I guess, for lack of better words, for it to not be tilted when I'm sitting. That is the hardest time. And so when I'm sitting, if I put the lumbar pillow, I can sort of use it to it's more like just to brace myself against and give me something to push. And I think more in terms of leading everything with the pubic bone in the front, because it should be like this, but it's going like this. And I'm having to like, if your pubic bone is here, you want to always think of it here. So especially when I'm sitting, but also when I'm walking, I'm always like, I feel like my walk is being led by my pubic bone, if that makes sense. And when I'm sitting, it's always like brace the abs and swing that pubic bone forward. And that really helps. But somehow having that lumbar pillow there to fill in a gap and give me something to brace against has really helped for me anyways. So what I have found, there may be more to it than this, but so far what I have found is it's a combination of weaknesses and tight areas, weak areas and tight areas that are going together. And I think they just continue little by little until it just spirals out of control. So it is definitely weak lower back, weak abs, and I also feel that there's weak inner thighs involved. When it comes to tightness, quads are tight, definitely the hip flexors, which are like above your quads, and the lower back is sort of a combination of both weak and tight. So I've been doing a series of exercises and stretches most days. I can't say I do it every single day, and I don't even know that you should do something every single day like that, but a lot of days I do this series of exercises and stretches, and I do feel like it's helping. But again, it's a very long process. It is a marathon, not a sprint. But I can see that my pain is less and I feel much better. I function much better the more I work on this and get closer and closer to having my pelvic not tilted. So I am going to show the things that I'm doing that really have helped me. Okay, guys, forgive me. I'm not an exercise specialist or professional in any way. I do love to work out, but not like in a teaching capacity. So you're going to start with pelvic tilts from 3 different directions, and you will see, if you pay attention, that you're going to work slightly different muscles and build strength in different areas, slightly different areas by doing this. So first, laying down, you will do at least 10. There are times where I did more, but just that little movement there, right? And you're using your glutes and maybe hamstrings, I would say, to do that movement. Okay, different angle here. This time you're going to do it standing up. So again, the tilt, you're using all these muscles back here, and you do it, at least 10 times. All right, then you want to do it on something with an incline. And again, you're going to do the tilt. You're using all these muscles back here at least 10 times. And if you're paying close attention, you will feel that you're working slightly different muscles in each of those, the lying down, the standing up, and on the incline. The last one for strengthening weakness is for the lower back. And this is sort of adopted from wall Pilates workouts, but it really targets that lower back. So start really slow with this, because you don't want to strain the lower back. You want to strengthen it, and you want to do it gradually. You don't want to jump in and overdo it and strain it, right? But you're going to 90-degree legs on a wall while you're on a mat. And you don't want to push into the wall, because you'll just slide your mat and slide yourself. So, but you bridge up and lift one leg. And first you do the leg in circles. And then you swing it out to the side and back. And you keep your whole core very still. No twisting, no moving. The only thing that's moving is this one leg. And then you'll do it on the other leg, circles. And out to the side and back, keeping your core very, very still. For the stretching components, there are 2 different exercises. They are going to stretch out your quads and especially your hip flexors up here. The hip flexor is a very difficult area to stretch, and it can be very tight, especially in people stuck in anterior pelvic tilt. So I'm going to show you the one I do on the wall first. And if you can have your leg all the way like this and get into the right alignment, that's great. I can't. So listen to your body, because the important part is that the whole pelvic stays straight and that you're really getting the good stretch. If I go all the way against the wall like this, I'm still going to just be an anterior pelvic tilt, and it's really not going to be very effective. So I'm going to bring it out here, and I'm going to come up in my lunge. And you really want to be bringing your pubic bone forward. You lead with your pubic bone while you're upright. You're keeping everything here in a straight line. You're not like this, right? Everything is aligned here with the pubic bone leading forward, and you should really, really feel this. I'll do it for about 30 seconds, 2 or 3 times, depending how tight it is. I do both legs. And the last stretch is a pretty basic quad stretch. Some people call it like a runner's stretch, where you just lunge like this. I'll go this way so you can see. Again, you're going to lead forward with the pubic bone and really stretch this out. And you need to listen to your body and your flexibility as you do this. Not everyone's going to be in the same position or have the same ability, but if you're not feeling it, you need to go more. Just don't compromise and be tilting. You want to keep that this all straight, pubic bone forward while you're doing this. I don't know if I can get a sideways. See how it's very straight here. It's not like this. This is not the same stretch as this, if you can see the lines there. I think the biggest thing for me is to just be constantly checking in on where is my pelvic area, how is the alignment, how is the posture, where's that pubic bone, number one. I walk a lot for exercise, and while I'm walking, I am constantly checking that, tilting it. I like to feel like my pubic bone is leading my walk, if you will. I know that might sound ridiculous, but those are the things that will help you keep it there, keep it forward, keep it in the right alignment and not tilted back, right? Sitting, like I said earlier, is very challenging. It's gotten easier now than it was initially when I realized I had this issue. Honestly, at times in the beginning, it felt impossible when I was sitting. And when I start to get tired, like near the end of the day, it gets harder. Give yourself grace. Do what you can, build up the strength, especially when I'm walking and I'm keeping that, bringing that pubic bone forward. I really feel it in my inner thighs. So I really feel like there's like an inner thigh weakness also with the whole tilt. And that's really the only way I know to exercise that, along with this whole thing, is when I'm walking. I feel like it's very beneficial to the inner thigh area. When I bring it into right alignment, I feel it. I don't really do like extra exercises just for inner thigh. I feel like that is effective enough. But if you're not walking, then maybe you should look for some exercises for your inner thighs. But I would really just recommend walking, even if it's not long distances. I walk every day, typically 2 to 4 miles. That's a big thing for me. And so I am really working on, the whole time I'm walking, I'm really working on the anterior pelvic tilt situation. So if you deal with this, I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. Let me know how it's going, how you realized you have this, and how you're dealing with it has been going so far. And if you learned something new from this video, or if this has already helped you in some way, I would love to hear it. So have a great day, guys, and God bless you.